Hello viewers, welcome to Paloy Homestead channel. In this video, we are going to be covering how to make a single crochet stitch and the problems that you may face while you're making it. We are going to begin by making a slip knot and a chain stitch. If you do not know how to make either, there is a video that I made. You can check it out. So we're going to make a chain of 20 stitches, but you can make a number that is comfortable for you, as big as your project that you want. For me, I'm going to make 20. So these are 20 stitches, chain stitches. Now when you reach the end of the chain stitch, you add one. This one that we've added will help us to turn our work. So at the end of it all, we shall have 21 stitches. Okay, so you turn your work. When you turn your work, you go into the first chain space that you see. This is your last stitch, the first space, the first chain you go into. You yarn over the hook, turn your hook and pull through. So you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you yarn over and pull through all of them. So you have now 1 hook. That's 1 single crochet stitch made. You go into the second space, which is there. You insert your hook, yarn over and you pull through like that. You have 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through both of them. You continue, you insert, yarn over, pull through. You continue doing that same process. Note that when you insert your hook, you yarn over and you pull the yarn, turn your needle such that the hook can easily pull out the yarn, like that. Keep going until you reach the end of your chain. By the time you reach the end of your chain, you should be having 20 stitches. You can count them if you're not very sure that there are 20, or you can count as you go along. You have to have a number of 20 stitches all together. This is our second last stitch and our very last one. So we have finished 1 row of single crochet. When we reach the end of the row, we are going to make 1 chain stitch, yarn over and pull through. It's that chain stitch that helps you to turn your work. We do not count that as our stitch. Then you turn your work and you go into the very first hole that you'll see. You insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. Continue with the process until you reach the end of the line like before. Remember to keep counting. You need to have 20 stitches on every row that you make. Otherwise you'll encounter problems if your stitches are not the same number. So this is our very last stitch. In order to have our edges straight, we are not going to stitch in this very last one. We are going to go on top of this one. See, on top there. And then we make our very final stitch. Over. And then we are going to chain 1 again, turn our work. And continue the same process. again, this is our very last stitch. We are not going to stitch there. We are going to go in that last, in the chain that we made, and that's where we shall make our last stitch. Over, go through. So this is what you have so far. You see, you have 3 rows of single crochet stitch. You can turn again and keep going for as long as your project requires. So in the process of making your project, if you find that your project is turning out not to have straight edges, your project is curving in like that or like that, you know that you made a mistake and you kept losing stitches at different points. So if you go ahead and count these stitches on top here, you'll find that they are not equal to the stitches that are below. As I told you in the beginning, you have to count, especially as you're beginning, you have to count every row to make sure that you have an equal number of stitches, and in this case you shall have to maintain the 20. So when you see your work going like that, you know that you lost stitches. What you have to do is to unravel and go back to the point where you kept losing your stitches, where you have 20 stitches. Do not continue on a mistake, because it will become problematic for you as you keep going. Yeah, if you realize that your work keeps becoming wider, you see that this is an indication that your work, you actually kept putting stitches, keep picking stitches. If you look closely to this, you will see that here there are 2 stitches in one hole in different places. So when you notice that your work is becoming wider or curving like that, you know that you picked more stitches. So you have still to unravel, and you go back to the point where you still have 20 stitches, or the number of stitches that you started your project with. Yeah. Again, if your work is like that, you see, it goes in and out. One side is straight, but another side is that. Or sometimes you may find this on different parts of your project. You know that at one point you lost stitches, then when you remembered to count, you tried to count and counted the same number again and made it, but you had already created a dent in your work. So still you have to unravel. Do not continue on a mistake. It will be harder for you to rectify as you go along. Your project will not be neat when you have mistakes to rectify. So make sure that you count almost for every row to avoid having to unravel, because every time you unravel you lose time. So count, count, count. So we are going to continue with our project until we have a size that we want, and then I'll show you how to end the project. So we've already gained a sizable project. This can already be, it can be a coaster, it can be anything that you can choose it to be. Note, look at my edges, they are straight and they are neat. Yeah, you should practice to make neat edges. So, because when you make neat edges, you may not need a border. Now, these are our very last stitches, and the very last one in there. Okay, so when we reach here, we are going to yarn over, pull through, and tighten, and then we shall pull this yarn out. At this point, let me also note, at the beginning of your project, make sure you leave a long piece of yarn, and at the end, don't cut at the very edge. Make sure you leave, because you're going to weave through, you're going to hide this these ends in the project. If you've left a very short one, it will be hard for you to weave in your ends. Now when weaving in the ends, we use a tapestry needle. You pull your yarn in the tapestry needle. And then you go hiding your yarn in the middle of your do that a number of times. This will help your project not to unravel and to hide your ends. You'll not be able to see your ends. See? You do that several times and then you cut your yarn, and you do that on the other side also. So this is our finished project of a single crochet stitch. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you another method of single crocheting. Happy crocheting!